Rev up your engines!
Sponge blue depressed pants. God, man, I read something silly on Facebook. Glad it's not true. Yeah, people are at it again saying that I am dead for some reason. I don't know. I guess people get a kick out of it. They get people that for some reason or other, they think they're famous and they'll make views on whatever they have by saying that people are dead. And not even close to 1 foot in the grave yet, you know? People make up the craziest things. People will do anything to get views these days. I'm in Clarksville now. If you need me to look at your car, I'm in Rhode Island in a month and a half. I'm alive. I'm not dead. Unless you believe conspiracy theories, and this is just an AI, Scotty. All of a sudden you see gears coming out of your head. You know, maybe that's the case. Damien says, what do you think of a 2024 Lamborghini Urus? Have you ever worked on Lamborghini cars? I worked on a Lamborghini car once. Couldn't get parts for it. I didn't like the car or the owner. He was a snob. I probably will never work on them again. I saw a hilarious post somebody had about me, put me down the other day on the internet, and he said, people, we need to stop Scotty. He doesn't know anything about high-end cars. I say to that man, I know all kinds of things about them. That's why I'd never buy one, and I don't like working on them either. They're rolling piles of high technology that falls apart, costs a fortune to fix. The parts are super expensive. Even getting the data to fix them is super expensive, right? I would never buy one. And they get mad. Oh, Scotty doesn't understand. I understand them. You fools are buying those things. You don't understand them. You don't know how complex they are when they break. You bought one of those, you got money, keep forking it up. I've seen people spend 15, 16 grand on an oil change. And anybody who's dumb enough to do that, hey, they're dumb enough to buy one of those cars. Caliber 50 says, I inherited an 89 Subaru Forester. Only 79,000 miles. It sat for a year with a crappy oxygenated ethanol fuel in the tank filled a third of the way. I don't want to drop the tank. Can something be added to dilute it? If it's come apart, it's too late. If it's settled out into alcohol here and then a bunch of gunk in the bottom and then it kind of smells like turpentine, if that's the case, you're going to have to drain that tank. You're just going to have to, because that's going to destroy your fuel injection system if you don't drain the tank, right? It's not that hard to drain a tank. I mean, push comes to shove, get a hose, shove it the whole way in and siphon it out. Get a pump that sucks it, siphon it out, and then fill it up and pray that it'll run okay. It's not that hard to do. Total Noob Fishing says, is a Honda Ridgeline a cheaper, reliable option than a Tacoma? Well, a guy just brought me a brand new Ridgeline yesterday, ironically enough. Maybe that's why I picked this question, right? And it's an excellent vehicle. He loves it. He wanted a nice ride, and it's a unibody construction, so it's a nice ride. It rides much better than the Tacoma. Independent suspension, it really rode nice. Tacoma is a full frame truck. It's on a frame, right? It's a completely different animal. It's made more for towing, pulling stuff, where the Ridgeline is kind of like a part-time pickup. The guy who bought it, Camrys, before he bought the Ridgeline. And he said, oh, well, I wanted to try a truck this time, and I tried them all out, but I like the ride of the Ridgeline. I like that. They're very reliable. I got a customer who runs a plumbing supply company, and he's got two of them. He's got the back campered all out, filled with plumbing fixtures and tools. He has two of them. They both have over 200,000 miles, and he hadn't had a lick of problem with them. So they're decent vehicles. Astro says, Scotty, why would my steering sometimes be hard to turn at low speeds when I'm not low on fluid? 97 Silverado, I placed the pump with the reman unit and still does. Okay, numero uno, I don't believe in using remanufactured pumps. I would buy a brand new one. The Chinese make them and they make decent ones. I would put a brand new one in because odds are that's your problem, right? Now, if it isn't, it means you're going to need a new steering box. They are very expensive. Then you got to realign the front end. I would say, forget the pump you bought. Buy a brand new pump, and you might find that'll fix all your problems. I see it all the time. Remanufactured stuff is often crap, and those power steering pumps can put upwards of 1,500 pounds per square inch pressure. And when they rebuild them, I've seen them where they didn't put out 600 PSI instead of 1,500. So it's probably just a crappy pump. Danielle DeLuca says, Scotty, what do you do if the car has been flooded to the engine? Numero uno, do not try to start it. Let's say it's gotten floodwaters, right? You don't want to start it for two reasons. You don't want to energize the electronics, and if it did get that deep, water will have gotten into the air filter and the air intake. And when you turn that engine, it will suck water in the engine. Now, when your pistons go up, fuel's injected, bang, it goes down. Water gets in there because it's sucking it in. Then the cylinder will have a lot of water in it. Water doesn't doesn't compress much. Maybe, I don't know, 1.5% or something. So when it gets there and the water's stuck, the engine's got to keep turning and it will bend the piston rod, which means you got to rebuild the whole engine. It's called hydro-locking. So you don't ever want to try to start them. Tow them to your house or to a mechanic and let them go at it. Disconnect the battery first thing so it won't fry any electronics, and pray it hasn't destroyed the electronics. Now let's say you're at the seashore and it's salt water, it's probably you're screwed, because the salt water will destroy all the computer electronics if it gets in deep. And there's nothing you can do about that. Arbuino says, a quick question. Is a good RAV4 2021 for Uber? Put mileage on it? Thanks. Oh, yeah, they're great. Lots of people have them. We rented one of those when we went to Death Valley last year, and I really enjoyed it. Got 40-something miles a gallon when I was going 55 miles an hour. It was an excellent vehicle. I mean, you might even think about getting a hybrid one, because then you'll get even better gas mileage. If you do a lot of Ubering inner city, you will get 30 to 40% better gas mileage inner city with a hybrid than you will with a non-hybrid. Now, on the highway, there's not much difference. In town, the hybrids get much better gas mileage. And they're Toyotas, so they're pretty reputable hybrids. Personnel says, Scotty, I got a CVT in my van. Does a little hiccup soft jolt when it comes to a stop at traffic lights entering idle. What is that? Okay. You didn't say what kind of mileage you have, but it's a CVT. Many times when they downshift, those CVTs are kind of funky. One of the reasons I don't like them, I don't like the way they upshift. I don't like the way they accelerate. I don't like how they sound. I like real gears that shift. You can feel them shift. They're solid. Toyota geared transmissions can go 500,000 miles or more if you take care of them. I just don't like the CVTs. Odds are it's getting a little bit weak. Find a guy like me, if you're near Clarksville, feel free to bring it. I'll check it out free and drive it around, put my computer, and I'll tell you exactly what's going on. But I can just about guarantee you the downshift is just getting a little bit off when you come to a stop. Now, if you ever hit something hard, you might check to see if a transmission or a motor mount is cracked and is broken. They can do that too. It's easy to do. Jack up the engine with a board, and if you see the engine and tranny move and the motor mount separate, and you can see a hole in the rubber when you lift them up, and it goes back down when you put the jack down, and then put on a broken motor mount, that can happen. But if there's nothing broken, it's probably the CVT transmission shifting down. Brian Phillips says, my Mazda shutters when I brake at high speeds, when I decrease the speed and cruise control, but not at low speeds. Why is this? Okay, when you brake at high speeds, your wheels are spinning super fast, more RPMs. Your rotors are warped, and when they're warped at high speeds, they're going so fast, it'll shake your steering wheel. But when you go into low speeds and it's not turning that fast, that little differential isn't enough to make you really feel the vibration. You need new rotors and pads. When the rotors are warped, the pads are warped too, so buy new rotors and new pads, and it'll go away. Try the front ones first, because usually if it's the steering wheel only, it's just the front pads. Now let's say you change the front pads and the steering stops shaking when you do that, but the whole car kind of shudders, then you got to change the back rotors too. But normally the front ones will warp 2 to 3 times faster than the back ones. About 95% of your stopping is the front brakes and pads. Giggles and Lolly says, Scotty, I'm about to pick up my new 2019 GMC Sierra 2500 HD. Wanted to know what your thoughts on it. Okay, I don't like GM products, okay? But the GMCs, for some bizarre reason, even though it's the same company as GM, the GMC trucks are made better. My AC guy's got a 2500. He loves it. He paid a lot of money for it. They're not giving them away, you know? I would never buy a Silverado, but the GMCs, they seem to be better built. They're giant gas hogs. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But if you take care of the GMCs, they tend to last longer. They're commercial grade, and businesses generally are relatively smart. And if they see these things are junk, they'll never buy another one, and they'll lose their corporate sales. So GMC tends to build better than GM. Steven, is it necessary to break in a new car like we were advised to do in the 60s? No, not anymore. Metallurgy has gone a long way. You just basically drive them around. Now, I'm old school, so if I ever bought a new car, and I've never bought one yet, but if I did, I would probably change the oil the first time at like 2,000 miles. Then I change it every 5,000 miles with full synthetic and a high-quality oil filter, right? I probably would, but I never buy new cars, so that doesn't happen to me. You don't really need to do the stuff you used to do because cars are better built. The tires are better. The brakes are better. The oil is better. They really don't have a break-in period. Plus, they're all run by computers. Look at a flex fuel car. It can run on anything from 10% ethanol, which is the normal gas you buy, to 85% ethanol, that's 85. And any percentage in between, the computer systems measure how much alcohol is in the gasoline, and it makes it run correctly for that amount of alcohol, the gasoline ratio in the car. So you really don't have to do anything. Josh Singh says, do you think all-wheel drive cars are more suitable for the UK weather conditions compared to rear-wheel drive cars? If you drive like a maniac, yes, all-wheel drive, all the wheels are driving all the time. Hence, you'll get less slippage in the rain, slippery, and snowy conditions, right? If you have good rain tires, that's true. Of course, in the winter, it doesn't matter if you have all-wheel drive. If you don't have good snow tires on, it's going to slide in the snow. The tires are the important part there. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.